How can you cultivate a creative mindset for business? My name is Jason Hewlett. I'm a Hall of Fame keynote speaker and Las Vegas entertainer. Thanks for joining me today. So by the end of this video, you'll have plenty of ideas as to how to cultivate creativity for your business, as well as what I use for my quick start when I'm in that creative rut. Have you ever been stuck there where you're like, I don't know what to create, what I could do here? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's dive in. So the first one I want to talk about is your phone. Let me get my phone out. In fact, I love the fact that we have voice recorders on this phone. That makes it so easy to be creative. If you've been driving around or maybe been on a walk and you had this cool idea and you're like, oh, I need to try to remember it. Not gonna happen. Don't try. Press record and talk into the phone. That will help you to create your creativity quicker. The second idea would be to journal. I hope that you're journaling, and if you're not, go buy a journal. It's very important. Whether you do it on your computer or your laptop, it's fine, but I think writing it out is really important. In fact, there is science that says between the brain and the hand operating in a writing method in a book really gives us more creativity and ideas. I like to do this every single morning. Whenever I wake up at the right hour, sometimes I sleep long, okay, I'm that guy too. But when I wake up early and I look out at the sun and I go for a walk, I love to journal. Journaling sparks creativity quickly because then we can jot down our ideas, and the more ideas you have, the more ideas you'll have. So another way to cultivate ideas for a business and creativity would be to watch a show like Shark Tank. Now you might think, well, wait a minute, then I'm just watching other people do their ideas. Well, yeah, that's a great way to figure out how they came up with theirs and to watch them and think of yours. At the same time, when I'm watching Shark Tank, I'm thinking, what could I create that they would have bought? It's so interesting to think about that. And in fact, there's a power of association that I like to liken with that. And so that's the third one. The power of association is truly something that you can do by watching a show like that and saying, how could I spin that myself? And as you start figuring out your own power of association ideas, I want you to put an idea maybe in the back of your mind that you want to bring forth. For example, years ago, I was a Las Vegas entertainer, and I was trying to figure out how to do the voice of Guns N' Roses' Axl Rose. Do you know that voice? Yeah, he sings that Sweet Child of Mine, you know that song. And I could not figure out the voice, but it was always in the back of my mind. How can I figure out that voice? When I was watching things or reading things, I thought, how can I figure out that voice? Eventually one day, and this is so random, but this is the power of association for creativity. I was watching The Simpsons, and all of a sudden, it hit me. Axl Rose, the lead singer of Guns N' Roses, Marge Simpson. Same voice. What? The power of association connected in my brain where the idea had been germinating for years, actually. And all of a sudden I heard Marge Simpson speak and she said, well, Homer, how are we? And I went, oh, that's the voice. So then I added it into the song. She got a smile when it seemed to me, remind me of childhood memories. Whoa, 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 sweet child of mine. That's Marge Simpson singing. That's the power of association. That's an interesting way to cultivate creativity. Another power of association trick is what Steve Jobs used to do. He would just ask the right questions of himself, such as, how can I fit all of my music and CDs into my pocket? That was a question he literally had. Because if you grew up in the 80s like me, you know, you were carrying around stacks of CDs and a big old CD player and huge old gear in order to just have your music with you. Steve Jobs asked lots and lots of questions. So continually asking yourself questions of possibilities is a great way to cultivate ideas and creativity for business. And what's interesting about that is that you can also, with the power of association, look at what other people around you are doing. You can see other businesses. In fact, locally where I live, there is something very interesting that is in these soda shops. So soda shops are a big deal in Utah. Everybody likes to drive through and get their soda. There was a company called Swig, there's Sodalicious, there's all kinds of different companies like this that have come about. But one that's really interesting lately that I've found is one where my daughter got a job. Here's what the idea is. It's called Suds and Sodas. Yes, you pull up, you get your drink, and then you get a car wash. And they have a monthly membership. Now, I don't know the owners, but I imagine they saw Swig having success. And then they saw So Delicious and Fizz and all the other spin-offs, right? That were doing their own signature move version. And through the power of association, creatively came up with a new business idea and said, every time I go through a car wash, I wish I had that drink. So they just created a business out of that. That's the power of association. So before I share the others that I'm about to give you about creativity and so forth for your business, what I'd love for you to do is to go to jasonhewlett.com/ICM. Here's what's important about ICM. I've created a workbook for you to be able to go through and identify for yourself some of the things that you're already good at. Clarify with other people how you're good at that, and then you can magnify that greatness. If you'll go and download that, that will really help you through this process of cultivating ideas and creativity, not only for your life, but also for your business. So go check it out, jasonhewlett.com/ICM. So the fourth one would be aware of a need. So have you ever noticed that there's something that you really needed and you're like, I wish that was created? Well, then maybe you could make a business out of it. My friend Jessica Law, she and I grew up together. Her brother's my best friend, helped me discover that I could sing. Jessica, I didn't realize, this young darling girl that was a friend of mine as a kid, would become a multimillionaire because of her genius brain and her ability to be aware of a need and create something. You see, she was doing her daughter's hair one day and she noticed that she wanted to figure out how to flip it, and she couldn't figure out how to get this right flip down. And so they came up with like a little contraption. And so she flipped it and kept figuring this out. And then she tried it with her other daughter's hair, and eventually they realized they had a business on their hands. They called it Knot Heads. And this business was humongous over a decade ago. Why am I sharing that here? Because I think that everybody needs to just be aware of a need. You know, she eventually went on QVC. She made a lot of money. She's really got a great life because she saw for herself through the creativity of seeing something with her daughter's hair, how she could solve a solution and be aware of a need. And then there's my friend Lisa Bernson. She started a business called Creating Keepsakes. And this was in the midst of people just doing some scrapbooking about 20 years ago. They were just sort of scrapbooking and having a good time. She saw that this was going to become a craze. And so she put together this company that actually helped them get the supplies that they need all in one place. She put together an entire, essentially, industry. She's like the godmother of scrapbooking, Lisa Bernson. And it's so fascinating that even something that might be your hobby can then become, through the creativity of cultivating something in your mindset, to just say, I'm gonna do my hobby as a business, creating keepsakes. You can look it up. Amazing business. And then you could also take your hobby and turn it into a profession. Now, this happened to a girl in our neighborhood during the pandemic. You see, everybody in the pandemic was in their house and we all wanted food, and she figured out how to make really good sourdough bread. And so she just started selling it. A hobby became her profession. She's made lots of money, enough money to be able to go on different trips and have a great life. It's fascinating because she's the age of my daughter, and so who's not even graduated from high school yet. Now, here's what's so cool about that. She also then helped other people figure out how to do it. She would sell the starters for sourdough, and she turned her hobby into a profession. But this is how creativity can help us cultivate a business mindset. And so let's talk about my quick start to creativity. This is exactly what I do whenever I'm in a rut and I'm thinking, oh, I can't figure out how to come up with this or create that. The first thing I do is I go get in my car and I'll drive around listening to music or to a comedian or listening to a book. Just listening to someone else's creation gets my creativity going. And then what do? Yep, I record into a voice memo my idea. The other idea would just be go for a walk, maybe a hike, maybe a run. As you're moving these endorphins in your body, as you're getting the sun on your face, as you're feeling the elements of nature, creativity will come to you. I have the best ideas in my life that came to me while I was either walking or hiking in a mountain. So go take a hike. Or how about this one? Lots of people like to binge on Netflix. Well, what are you watching? I would say watch a documentary. That's my favorite thing to do in order to spark creativity. Watching a documentary on a guy like Mr. Rogers or Bob Ross or people that I admire or things in history that have happened. And now I can say, how can I do something for this world to make it a better place? Watching a documentary and then stopping it when you get the idea, jot down that idea. for your business. Now, how about this one? This might be way out of left field, but have you ever been at the grocery store and you've seen all those magazines, or the airport, and you only go to the ones you really like? I want to encourage you to go to the ones you've never picked up before. And I'm talking about, for me, it would be, instead of going to Sports Illustrated, I would go to Better Housekeeping. Now, why would I go to Better Housekeeping? Well, I'm not so worried about how much better of a housekeeper I can become. But this can give me some real ideas fast to read something completely opposite of what I would normally read. Try it. And then of course you can sign up for a webinar, you can go to a conference, you can, start to watch what other people are doing, and that should really quickly set you up to cultivate your mindset for creativity and in your business. Watching what other people are doing. I remember going to a seminar, and at the very beginning, I got everything I needed and I left. It was a 3-day seminar. I went to the first speaker. He reminded me that I hadn't been in my CRM, which is where you manage your clients. And I was like, if I do that, I don't need to do anything else. And I left the conference and I started working on it, and it changed my business right away. And so it's not necessarily a brand new idea. It might just be remembering something you forgot. So I hope that some of these ideas have given you a way to think through how you can cultivate creativity for your business. And I do so many videos like this on this channel. I would love it if you want to go check out some of them, whether it's to subscribe here, which I'd be thrilled for you to join me for more. But I also do other topics, such as how becoming a better speaker can actually help your career. And so those types of things are something you can find here on this channel. I hope you go check it out. Thanks for joining me today, and my best to you on cultivating creativity for your business.